America's Middle Eastern wars have cost trillions and produced no benefit for the United States. But as candidate Trump liked to point out on the stump, they never end. On Sunday, the U.S. carried out airstrikes against an Iraqi militia group tied to Iran. The strikes came after a U.S. civilian contractor was killed in a rocket attack. The Iraqi government has objected. The Iranians have responded. Could this be a step toward the war with Iran that so many of Washington's foreign policy establishment are hot for? Doug McGregor is a retired U.S. Army colonel and author of the book Margin of Victory, and he joins us now. Colonel, I'm enough of a 19th century imperialist to take Lord Palmerston's position that a great power can't have its citizens killed with impunity, and expect to remain great. But what is the broader strategic objective in this current military action?
Well, good evening, Mark. Palmerston was a smart man. He also said that Gladstone would end his political career in a madhouse, and he wasn't far from wrong.
No, that's true.
I think if Americans look at this, the first question is, what are we doing in Syria and Iraq with troops on the ground? What's the purpose to begin with? I don't think that's ever been fully explained. What we've heard routinely is that we're coming out, we're coming out, we're coming out. Each time the president seems to be subverted and we end up with a few more troops left. I think that's what's happened here, and it may help explain what was done on Sunday. This contractor was killed in this rocket attack in the vicinity of a place called Kirkuk.
Right.
Now, if you look at the 5 targets, 3 inside Iraq and 2 in Syria, these targets are 250 miles, 300 miles away from Kirkuk. So we're not striking anything in the vicinity of where this event happened. Secondly, all of these targets, yes, they're part of what we call the PMF, the Popular Mobilized Force. They are Iranian trained, they are Shiite militias, and they have been killing ISIS.
Right.
And al-Nusra and al-Qaeda.
Right.
And they have actually liberated and protected Christians from our friends in ISIS. Now, ISIS is largely gone, but they're still digging them out in lower Syria. Well, for some reason, we chose to strike all of these targets instead of looking for something in the vicinity of Kirkuk. So it seems that your essential suspicion is probably accurate. Well, this looks like an attempt to drag us into something.
Well, let me just ask you about that, because you basically said that these guys were fighting ISIS
Yes.
the last time any of us took any attention to them. So they were the enemy of our enemy, but it turns out that they're now also our enemy. Are we just tourists in the heart of darkness, staggering around from one barely understood faction to another?
Well, I think staggering around from one misunderstood faction to the next is a damn good description. I don't think we have any idea what we're doing there, and I think the president has been skillfully misinformed. I think he's being walked into another ambush, much as he was last summer, when all of a sudden he was presented with his fait accompli. They've shot down a global hawk. We have to attack Iran. Now we have attacked these Iranian-backed forces. The Iraqi government, I think, is going to try and throw us out. The parliament has already voted unanimously for us to leave. So I think the next step is for the Iraqis to say, get out. I don't think that the Iranians or the Iraqis, per se, are necessarily going to respond in the way the neocons would hope.
Well, President Trump has always said he's thought these wars were a complete waste of time. They've gone on now for a generation, but ineffectually. But the question is has he become the captive of the Bush era foreign policy men who've wandered in and out of this administration? Just quickly.
Well, if he's not the captive, he certainly looks like it, and he is now the only thing standing between us and another pointless war. He's the one who can say no, and he does. But he needs to understand that's not enough. He's got to move the people around him who are part of the problem out.
Thank you for that, Colonel. Thank you.